So religion and spirituality come up all the time. And some people come to the situation with a specific religion and religious orientation or particular spiritual beliefs, sometimes both. Sometimes there's a religion of origin that they grew up with that they may or may not practice now. Having a child where you get a diagnosis of a life-threatening illness stirs up all of those belief systems in sort of across religions and across spiritual beliefs. So that for some people, it's a huge question about why this was done to them. If there's a belief in God, why would God do this to me? For other people, it's like this is in God's hands. It's really, it's not for me to ask.
Our faith in God stayed strong. We were tested, and I continue to believe there's reasons for Talon's diagnosis and what was going to happen with being my first child. It was very, very tough for me as my first child because I waited a long time for this and couldn't wait for my new life. Getting the phone call when I was delivering wood and pulling over and screaming, and I actually yelled at God and said, "Why are you doing this to me?" And then in the same sentence, I put my head down and I apologized, said I'm sorry. You have reasons.
When I got Brookes' diagnosis, of course, I panicked. And I was saying, to my best friend of 17 years who's a Christian, I was saying, oh my gosh, is she going to go to heaven? And everyone said, well, yes, because she's, forgiven and can't make the decision on her own. And I'm like religious ignorant. I'm not educated in religion. It's not like I'm an atheist. I just don't know enough about it to choose one way or the other. And so I was talking to my girlfriend and she said, yes, Brooke will go to heaven. And so I'm like, well, but I'm not going to go to heaven. You're telling me I'm not going to go to heaven because I don't believe in God. And it was a huge struggle to the point where I really started integrating myself into the Christian community even more so, and really started to explore Christianity and wanted so badly to believe, and I just couldn't. And then after some time went by, I looked back and I said, that's just not who I am. I'm a honest, hardworking person, great mother. I don't lie, steal or cheat. I'm saying to myself, there's, if I were to believe in a God, I would want to believe in a God that would appreciate that, and let me be with Brooke again, someday. So I veered off the course of trying to, get myself to believe because, I hadn't my whole life and I wasn't going to force it on myself. So we're non-religious, but, I also have a son who I need him to have faith and hope, not so much maybe at that level, but specifically with his sister. And so Jake and I have agreed that Brooke is going to go off into the universe. She's going to go off and not necessarily to heaven, because that's not necessarily what we believe, but Brooke is going to be out there in the universe, and we can talk to her whenever we want to, and she'll always be, around us.
For many, many people, it's a huge crisis of faith. And it can be a crisis of faith in either direction. I should have gone to church, temple, the mosque more and prayed more, and if I just do that now, things will turn out well. And for other people, they feel completely abandoned by their faith. If this is what now happened to my child and my family, I'm done with organized religion, or I need to think about a whole nother way of believing. And even when that happens, it gets more complicated, because then as things progress and there's some recognition that their child isn't going to survive, that question of then what? Where does my child go? If I have a frame of heaven and other people have died, is my child going to be with them? This is in God's hands, and I don't know what happens. I don't believe in traditional religion now, but I know the spirit goes somewhere in the universe, and that's okay? Do I believe in karma and reincarnation, and that my child will come back in another form at another time? So all those questions come up for people. They're also laden with sort of, kind of classic religious components, such as guilt, such as I didn't pray hard enough. If I pray hard enough now. For some people, their faith is very strong and it doesn't waver. They're very clear from the beginning that this is something that's been given to them, and they continue to have faith. And sometimes it manifests just in terms of whatever they've always done.